What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy CamATL. Shout out to the DFS squad. Shout out to everybody watching this video right now. Drop a like down below because I already know you're gonna love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment anything in the comment section to enter your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel. First and foremost, greenlightdfs.com to join the squad for all of our membership packages and to also have access to this beautiful, amazing Greenlight optimizer that I do my videos with. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. As always, just like I did in yesterday's video, I'm going to break down the MLB slate for both DraftKings and FanDuel, and then we're going to switch over and do NBA in the same video, all right? So if you are only here for NBA, go ahead and fast forward to the NBA part, but if you are wanting to get that sauce for both, stay around. All right, now, let's get straight into it. I'm not going to keep up too much of your time. Remember that the projections on here, first and foremost, are GPP based. Okay, that's first and foremost. Secondly, I have not updated them yet as of this morning. Okay, so let's go ahead and get straight into them. Now, starting off at pitcher, it's going to be Flaherty and Darvish as my main go-to guys. Now, there's a few reasons for this. All right, Darvish has been absolutely incredible this year. All right, plain and simple. On top of that, Vegas has St. Louis's run total at a 3.9, so even Vegas is thinking that Darvish is going to have a great game here. I completely understand it. I mean, look at the K rate on these guys, man. I mean, on this slate, we have some really good K rates. We've got Darvish at over a 35% K rate, striking out over 12 per 9, a 2.31 ERA, a 0.87 whip. If you're new, whip, once again, is an important pitcher stat. Pretty much means the lower the whip, the better. All right, the higher the whip, the more the bat is being put on the ball, and that's not what you want. All right, if the ball is being put in play, that's not what you want. You want guys to be missing the ball. All right. But anyways, so yeah, Darvish, when it comes to the actual numbers, he is the best option. The best option on this slate. Period. All right. Like I said, the ERA is incredibly low. The WHIP is incredibly low. The K rate is really, really high. The only fault in Darvish's game is he gives up a lot of stolen bases. That's literally it. All right. Outside of that, I mean, the dude has been great. All right. Jack Flaherty is another guy you could play for sure. He only has a 0.71 whip, which is actually better than Darvish's. 1.08 ERA, which is also better than Darvish's. His K rate is at slightly over 31%, and he strikes out 10 guys per 9, so it's 2 guys less per 9. Flaherty's a solid option. There's a down part with both of these guys, though. Okay. Now the game is in Chicago with the wind as of right now blowing out to right field at 9 miles per hour. Now I've talked about it many times, but Wrigley is one of those places that the wind really, has a huge impact on the game. Period. If the wind is blowing out, more home runs are hit, more runs in general are put up in Wrigley. All right. If the wind's blowing in, you mainly want to make sure you get the pitchers because the ball's going to, even if the ball's hit hard, it's going to be held in the ballpark. But at the end of the day, both of these guys' K rates are so good that they're both solid options. When it comes to actual strikeout rate, Chicago strikes out more than St. Louis does. Okay? But you can go either way. I'm not going to fault you for going Flaherty almost 2,000 less. He's 9.4 compared to Darvish's 11K. So I can completely understand you wanting to save some money and going Flaherty. That's completely fine with me. Another guy who's playable is Luzardo. Luzardo has almost a 27% K rate, strikes out almost 10 per 9, 1.16 whip. So that's higher than the other two guys we just talked about, but that's still really, really good. A 2.76 ERA. And Vegas has San Diego's run total at 3.9, so they're expecting him to hold these guys in check as well. There are some dangerous righties in this lineup with Machado and Tatis. Both of those guys hit lefties very well. You've got Will Myers. These guys hit lefties really solid. But at the end of the day, Luzardo's only 7.7, has a solid K rate. The bat's been missing the ball on most occasions or just not being hit hard. Vegas also sees him having a good game. Everything's kind of linking up to him being a solid option. All right, we have plenty of pitching options on this slate. All right, now I really want to talk about some cheaper guys because we have a bunch of cheap guys who are solid options. Now the optimizer loves Kyle Cody, and which I can understand it. Okay, now remember, this kid's only made like 3 starts, okay? And at the same time as well, his pitch count is severely limited, okay? He's not going to go super deep, but you're hoping his K rate can get you 12. You know what I mean? And I think he definitely could. The optimizer has him getting about 14, so they're thinking he's going to have a decent little K rate while he's in there, and he does, plain and simple. His whip is only 0.92. He has yet to give up an earned run. He has almost a 38% K rate. That is legitimately the highest one on this slate. His K rate is the highest on this slate, and he's only 5K. So if you want to punt for a guy, I definitely like Cody over guys like Taylor Clark. All right. Now let's talk about another guy that I really, really love. Speaking of K rates, Dane Dooning. All right, Dane Dooning is a fantastic option on this slate as well. He's just had a really solid season so far. And when it comes to K rate, I mean, the dude's been killing. All right. I talked about Kyle Cody having a high K rate. I missed out on Dooning, so let me correct myself. Kyle Cody has strikes out 37% of the righties he faces. Dane Dooning strikes out 40% of the batters that he faces. Strikes out 13.9. His K rate has been ridiculous, okay? He has already faced this Kansas City team in his last starts, getting 24 DraftKings points. Now, that could be a bad thing or a good thing. That could be, okay, Kansas City can't hit him. Or you can look at it like Kansas City just saw him, so they might be better against him now. You feel what I'm saying? So it's a little bit risky, but at the end of the day, Vegas has Kansas City's run total lower than Seattle's for Kyle Cody. His K rate is higher. He's facing both of them are facing bad offenses. I mean, Seattle's not very good. Kansas City's not very good. So Dane Dooning, Kyle Cody are perfectly fine. Like, honestly, in GPP, it is interesting to go like a Kyle Cody and pair it with Dooning and just get these cheap pitchers who have a solid K rate to get you a solid floor and have some decent upside, and then get those double down potential bats. You guys know how I do it in GPP. I spend down at pitching in GPP. In cash, you spend up for pitching, get the pitchers that you need, and spend down at bats. But in GPPs, you want the guys with double down upside. All right, let's talk hitters real quick. All right, I'm going to zoom through this pretty quick because I've just been, going for a good little bit. Now, when it comes to hitters in general, there's certain guys that we definitely want some exposure to. Let's start off at first base. First guy I want to talk about is going to be, which I definitely need to fix his projection. That's absolutely ridiculous. Where is he? Jose Abreu at 7.17 is criminal. Okay, I'm going to fix that. But Abreu is a very solid option. Now, if you compare the WOBA and the ISO of these guys, and you compare like getting on base with the amount of power that they hit, Abreu is at the top of the first base position. He's been not only hitting the ball hard, but he has been hitting the ball in general, making contact, and going against Singer, who has not been a very good pitcher. So you put the two and two together. I mean, this White Sox team has a good amount of power in this lineup in a very solid matchup against Singer, who's been giving up a high fly ball rate. I mean, these two things combined could really end up turning into some runs. All right, Vegas has their implied run total at 4.9. That's a good prediction because Abreu's got a 392 average versus righties this year. He's got 7 home runs against righties, 471 ISO, 539 WOBA. Dude's an absolute beast. You're having to pay for him, 5'4", but he's an absolute beast. All right. Other guys that I want to talk about. Let's go to Rhys Hoskins, who's been incredibly hot lately. He's only 4'6", going against Rick Porcello. Hoskins has a 278 average versus righties, 5 home runs on the year, 352 ISO, 433 WOBA versus righties. All those numbers, the 5 home runs is for righties only, but it is a great numbers. Plain and simple, he's hitting the ball hard and he's getting on base. So if you need the save from a guy, like, in my opinion, Abreu's got the upside. So if you're wanting double dong upside, it's Abreu, okay? If you want a guy who has a solid chance to get you just one home run at least, Rhys Hoskins is fine too, but you could save the money. Those are the 2 first basemen I really, really love. And then outside of them, the optimizer is loving Cody Bellinger. I get it. Cody Bellinger's been just, he either gets 0 or he goes crazy, but Bellinger definitely has some upside here. I'm not going to lie, okay? He's got 6 home runs on the year versus right-handed pitching. He has a 5.12 ISO, which is higher than any other first baseman on this slate. 445 WOBA. He hits the ball hard, plain and simple. So Jose Abreu and Cody Bellinger are the GPP first baseman. I know they're expensive, but both of them have the most upside on this slate. And if you're playing GPP, you're probably spending down-ish on pitching. And then Rhys Hoskins is fine as well. Other bats that I really want to talk about, let's go to shortstop. Corey Seager's one of my favorite bats on the slate. Dude's been mashing, man. A 412 ISO and a 496 WOBA versus right-handed pitching, along with a 373 batting average. I mean, he's just super, super consistent. Plain and simple. The kid is consistent. So he's going to get on base. He's going to hit the ball hard. He always has the potential for a home run or two. Corey Seager's a fantastic option at shortstop. I wanted to talk about him. Some value guys that I really want to talk about. Now, Kikuchi's going to be hyped up because a lot of the time, a lot of these sites will hype up Kikuchi solely on the fact that I'm not really sure. I mean, he's a better pitcher than he shows most of the time, but he's just never really gotten over that hump and became a decent pitcher. He's still bad, okay? And you've got some Texas Ranger value that you could definitely take advantage of. And Solak is the first guy I want to talk about. Look at this price. 2.9, okay? Now, let's get into some numbers, all right? 389 batting average for Solak against lefties. A guy who is 2.9 batting a 389 just should not be 2.9. Plain and simple. I mean, the dude is mashing lefties. He's facing a bad lefty, probably hitting fourth in this order. Solak is a very solid option. I love my boy Solak as a value. If you need some value on this slate, like in cash games, to be able to, balance out a little bit, Solak is fine. Speaking of value, I want to talk about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, another guy who's just been hitting lefties very, very well, man. This Rangers team has some righties in this new lineup that they're running that actually hit lefties fairly well, and I could see Kikuchi possibly getting blown up. Falefa has a 450 average this season against lefties. Like, I'm not saying he barely hits them well. He is getting on base. He does not hit the ball hard, but a 481 WOBA and a 450 average in general. I mean, you don't need much. At guys who are like 2.8 and damn near almost free, they get on base a few times and you're super happy. You know what I mean? A guy like Falefa, I mean, he's in a fantastic spot. He will get on base. He will get on base for you, and he's just super, super cheap. Another one of my favorite plays that I want to talk about today is going to be Robinson Cano. At the second base position, when it comes to just the numbers adding up, Cano is just far ahead of anybody else at the second base position. He's got a 391 ISO, a 550 WOBA, a 457 average versus right-handed pitching. And Arrieta is definitely a pitcher that you want to pick on. All right, so Robinson Cano is a fantastic option. He's locked, in my opinion, at second base. This total for the Mets at 5.2 is accurate. I think they're going to put up some runs, and they're definitely a squad that I really, really love today. So to give you a core, before we switch over to FanDuel real quick, Robinson Cano, Nick Solak is value, and Corey Seager would be my three favorite bats. All right, and then pitching, probably Yu Darvish and Dunning in cash games. All right. In GPP, I can understand Dunning and pairing him up with what was his name? The Texas Rangers pitcher. I forget his name. Let me see. Kyle Cody. All right. So you can go both of those guys in GPP. Let's check out FanDuel really quick. I'm not going to spend a ton of time because I've been really burning time in this video right now. Okay. Over on FanDuel, Jack Flaherty is probably my go-to. But you can get Yu Darvish too, pretty much. I mean, both of these guys are fine. You can really go either way you want to. I wouldn't hate you on Luzardo, but I would stick to these guys. Flaherty, Darvish, Luzardo. Let me see. How much is Dunning is 7.7. I would probably rather go Luzardo. But it is close. Kyle Cody's 5.7, but like I said, you run the risk of him not pitching too deep. So yeah, Flaherty or Darvish. Straight up, that's a tough decision. It depends on what you're looking at, like with bats, whether you need to save money or you don't. All right, if you don't need to save money, go Darvish. If you do, go Flaherty. All right, hitters. Now let's just check out a few of our guys. Robinson Cano, 3.5, decent price. I already know Solak's going to be cheap, right? 2.7 for Solak, great price. Another value. Falefa, 2.6, value. Let's check out like Dominic Davis. Where's Dominic? Dominic Smith, 3.5, a little up there. How much is Conforto? 3.3. So they've got these Mets guys priced up a little bit. J.D. Davis, 2.7, great value there. That's a fantastic matchup there for him. Let's check out value in general. Check out value in general on FanDuel. All right, so Jock Peterson at 2.7 is really interesting. Jock has crushed Senzatella throughout his career. I already talked about Solak. Absolutely love him. Me and the Optimizer are definitely on the same page there. Um, those are my two favorite value guys. Elvis Andrews with the righty-lefty matchup. He's back in the lineup. He should be a solid option. He hits lefties very well too. Has over a 300 batting average. Um, who else? That's about it. Those are my favorite value guys. So Jock Peterson, Solak, Elvis Andrews is a fine value. And that's about it. Those are my favorite values. And then J.D. Davis, obviously. And then when it comes to pitching over here, I mean, I see no problem with being able to get you Darvish, probably. Honestly, that's just the way I see it. All right, let's switch over to NBA. Pull up this NBA optimizer real quick. Sorry for the white screen. Hopefully it can hurry up real quick. I have no idea what's going on here. Here we go. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know why that froze like that. All right, here we go. So, let's get into some DK. Now, DK and NBA, all right? And then we'll switch over to FanDuel. Now, starting off at DraftKings for this slate, I mean, man, we've got some great matchups. We got Houston playing the Lakers. We've got Milwaukee going against Miami. It's a tough one. I mean, I immediately gravitate, obviously. I know he hasn't been like fantastic, but I immediately gravitate to a guy like Russell Westbrook at this price, man. It's just the price is just so cheap. Him, Jimmy Butler at 8.3. When it comes to value guys, you got Eric Bledsoe, 5.7, really good price. Jay Crowder, pay attention to them missing people, but Jay Crowder's a fantastic option. Tyler Harrell's been playing lights out. Eric Gordon, you can always depend on him getting around 30. Dragic at 7K should be able to hit you 35. Hopefully, should be. But when it comes to just point per dollar wise, I do love Russell Westbrook. In this matchup, you would expect Anthony Davis to really go off. They don't have the size. Houston does not have the size down low. PJ Tucker cannot handle Anthony Davis down low. It is a huge mismatch. This whole series is going to come down to how well Houston shoots the three ball, because LA is going to score all they want to inside. Okay? So Houston's going to need to counter that with making their three-point shots. Okay? Harden's going to have to make his threes. Eric Gordon's going to have to make his threes. All these guys are going to have to make these three-point shots to be able to hang in this series. If they're not making their shots and they're off even a little bit, the Lakers are going to probably sweep. I mean, the matchup for Anthony Davis is just super sweet. I mean, matchup-wise, straight up, he's got the best matchup on the slate. Plain and simple. I mean, PJ Tucker has no chance against Anthony Davis. All right, they just don't have the size. He is way too big. He should absolutely destroy on the boards and inside in general. And you know the Lakers have got to be thinking about that. Like, okay, Houston is way too small. Let's feed the ball to AD and let's have him just carve them up inside. And I would, hey, that's the smart way of doing it, because Houston has no chance down low. All right, like I said, Houston's going to have to be making some threes. Now, if they're on top of their three-point shots, then you know Harden's going to go crazy if Harden's able to get it going, okay? Now, the Lakers have guys like, Danny Green, who's, he's an all right defender. He's okay, but they can't hang with Harden. I mean, both of these guys, I'm not scared about any of these defenses, but I'm also not really wanting to pay 11-2 for Harden the way things have been going. So Anthony Davis is going to smash. I'm calling it right now. He's going to have a huge game. And when it comes to value plays on DK, let's go ahead and go through it real quick. Eric Bledsoe is one of my favorite. Jay Crowder's very good at 5'3". Robert Covington's in a good position here. He's going to play a ton of minutes to try to defend LeBron James, I would expect. Yeah. Got George Hill 4'3", Danny Green 4'1". Not great. Not great, but it is what it is. It's playoffs. You got to make it work. So the main guys you want to go, Danny Green's probably is a fantastic option starting at 4'1". George Hill's solid value at 4.3. Like I said, my favorite spend up probably the optimizer leans Westbrook and Harden as guys who are going to smash on this slate. I'm leaning Westbrook and AD as the two guys I like the most just because, first of all, I think AD is going to smash. It's just my gut telling me that. And then Russell Westbrook is just cheap at 8.6. Man, we know what this guy is capable of, and I would love to have him when he does explode. So, no homo. But yeah, I love Russell Westbrook. All right. Those are the main guys. So, I mean, when it comes to spending up, I'm leaning AD personally. Plain and simple. All right. And if you want to spend down and you don't want to spend up anywhere and you want to kind of balance, Russell Westbrook will be the go-to star probably on that aspect. And then value, Eric Bledsoe's probably my favorite point per dollar at 5.7. Jay Crowder's solid value. Danny Green at 4.1. I know he's not great. He's super dependent on him making those three-point shots, but Danny Green at 4.1 could hit some good value too. And that's about it. Let's switch over to FanDuel. Let's talk some FanDuel real quick. All right, over on FanDuel, Westbrook's still just too cheap, man. 8.5. Jimmy Butler at 8.7. These guys are just really, really cheap, man. Eric Bledsoe still 5.6. Jay Crowder still playable. Let's look at the value in general. Jay Crowder 5,000. Dwight Howard 4.1. Eric Bledsoe, I mean, on both sides, he's just a value play for sure. Danny Green's 4.3, so I like him for the 200 savings over on DK a little more, but he's fine value if you have to do it. Once we get to like I said, once we get to these playoff slates, it's really hard to come by some very solid value. Unless somebody just gets ruled out last minute. Most of the time, these guys are gonna, do whatever they can to play. So you really got to reach for some value at times. And Danny, you could do worse than Danny Green as value. George Hill, Alex Caruso, even if he can get hot off the bench, but that's about it, man. You want to prioritize Eric Bledsoe as value, in my opinion. Dwight Howard's decent value, but do you really want to take your center position up with him? Jay Crowder is solid. And then when it comes to spending up, let me see. How much is Davis over here? Anthony Davis is 11.2 because of the scoring over here. So he's going to be a little bit more expensive. Let's check the prices in general. Yeah, you've got Harden less than him. It's Giannis at 10.6. So Anthony Davis over on DK, over on FanDuel is not necessary. You can go Giannis. You can go whatever. Yeah, I would go Giannis. I'd prioritize Giannis on FanDuel. I'd prioritize AD on DK. But really, my love for Anthony Davis is just what I know of basketball in general and just going off my gut feel with it. And Houston is just incredibly small and just not big enough to handle Anthony Davis. And you have to think that's in their game plan, the Lakers' game plan, to be able to knock Houston out. All right. And that's it, y'all. Good luck, guys. GreenlightDFS.com. Join the squad, man. Let's get this money. I'm out.